recording here. And questions, concerns, things that come up, let's just use the chat window. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, or welcome to the second Zoom session. Eliana, we saw you last week. Everybody else saw me on recording who wanted to see me. But let's take a look at what I have planned for tonight. Let me get a screen, share my screen with you here. And I'll put the desktop up there. All right. I'm hoping everybody can see the PowerPoint presentation now. I see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is the to-do list that I see for this second week of the Zoom session. Talk a little bit about the week ahead or the plan ahead, because we do have 3 projects left in the course. These 5-week courses really go quickly. I'm sure that's one of the things you enjoy about the program, I'm sure, but it does pack a lot of work into a short time. So let's try to clarify what the expectations are for the next 3 weeks. I'll give you a little bit of advice on audio recording. I'll just give you some specific advice on things that I've been noticing recently in my work. I've been working with some students to create audio files, and I'll give you some tips and tricks that I was reminded of as I've been working with those students. The audio software that St. Thomas University recommends is Audacity. That's a free piece of software. I'm hoping that folks have had a chance to install that and mess around with a little bit. Great piece of free software. I'll give you a little show and tell on how to get some audio in there, get some voice in there, put a background sound in there if you'd like to do some, get some background music. So show you how to work with that a little bit, how to use some of the controls to fade in, fade out, and whatnot. And then I'd like to show you, if we have time, a piece of software, another piece of free software. Actually, this one's freemium software, so you can use the free version, or you can upgrade and get a paid version if you want. But it's called Active Presenter. And I use that on both my Macintosh and my PCs. If I want to do a screenshot or a recorded desktop session, so I want to do maybe do a demonstration on how to use a piece of software, I can record what's happening on my screen and give it a narration, and it ends up being a really nice quality video. And there's some other tools that you can do. You can add in the captions and things like that. But I'm going to put a link up on the course website for you to go and download that if you'd like. But I'd like you to at least take a look at that in case you decide that you want to put some screen capture type things in your projects. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. I just noticed let's see, we've got a chat up there. Which one do you like? Yeah, I can't hear you, Paul, but go ahead and you can tell everybody else which one you like.
Audacity, love that program.
Was it Audacity?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I use a lot of them. I'm a Macintosh user, so I like GarageBand as well. But let's just talk a little bit about making sure that we understand that there's really 3 projects left in this course. You've got an audio recording, which is due this week. That should be like a 3 to 5 minute recording. The suggestion that I use, just because we're all working professionals, we've got outside responsibilities, and my goal would be for you to walk away from this course with as many resources to use with your kiddos as you can. Try to make an audio recording that's going to connect somehow with what your video project is going to be, or something else that's going to be worthwhile related to your course, but not necessarily, or related to your project, but not necessarily directly something that's going to be in the final video. To give you an example, I had a student last term when I taught this course, and she had an experiment of the week video. She showed her students how to do this science project that they had to do every week. And she added the audio recording that she did was about a 2-minute introduction to the experiments of the week. It was specifically for parents. So it was related to the project, related to the final video, but not necessarily something that went into the final video, but it was connected, and again, it was useful for her students. So that's what you're going to be working on this week. Again, Audacity is the recommendation of the software that you would use to do that. Then next week, you're going to create a storyboard. And what I'll be putting up on the course website is a PowerPoint presentation that's recommended by St. Thomas that you use to put this thing together. And I'll give you a little bit of guideline, a little advice on how to use that. when I post it, I'll give you a little bit of advice, and also in next week's Zoom, we'll talk a little bit in more detail about that. In the final project, of course, you're going to have 2 weeks between the storyboard and the video. On the storyboard, you're going to plan out, and like a cartoon or like a comic strip, what your final video is going to be. Then between weeks 3 and 5, you're going to go out, shoot your video, do whatever editing that you need in order to put the program together, put your video together, and then the video is going to be the final project due in week 5. So that's what we've got coming up. About a 3 to 5 minute audio recording this week, the storyboard next week, and that storyboard is going to outline your video. And in the ideal world, your audio file that you make this week is somehow going to be related, so that when you get done, you've got at least a couple of pieces of media that you can use with your students. So that's what we're going there. Any questions, concerns, unclarity, things that are unclear there? Keep in mind, I don't see anything popping up in the chat. I see some shaking heads, so we'll just plow right ahead. Okay. Now, let me talk a little bit about recording. Now, whenever I do this with students, I frequently am found in a multimedia lab working with students. Invariably, what happens is we get some background, we get some sounds. It might be some spoken voice things. It might be a few words that kids say to highlight a video or something. But invariably, we get to the point where we want to have background music. And as much as I love Apple products, there's nothing worse than students who come to me and they'll say, okay, I'm ready to get my video done or my audio done. I have some background music. And I'll say to them, where's the music? Is it on iTunes? And they shake their heads, and I go, because there's no good way to get stuff from your phone, from your iPhone, onto a background music, something like Audacity. There might be some, but I have never found it is convenient, because these wonderful devices, your phones, of course, they're intended to be individual devices. You're supposed to put your music on your phone, listen to it, maybe put it onto a computer as well. But basically, the stuff that goes onto phones is not intended and it's not licensed to be used in Audacity projects and so forth. So as much as we like Apple products, it's really, really difficult in order to go and get the music that we consume nowadays. And of course, the other thing that's terrible nowadays is you ask the students, where's your music? And they say, oh, it's on YouTube, or it's on Django or Pandora or any of the other streaming services. You know, basically, if the music is up there, I tell them we really can't use it. What we do if we're going to be creating in Audacity is we want to try to find files that are MP3s or WAVs. Of course, if we're interested in, or if we're not bothered by violating copyrights, we can still take a CD if anybody has one. We can throw that into the computer and we can rip the music off the CD. Of course, we are violating copyrights when we do that, and that's a whole nother set of conversations that we ought to have. What we've been doing with our students more recently is we paid money. We bought for several $100s a whole collection of CDs, music CDs that have background music. We have sports, and we have nature, and we have orchestral. We have all these really cool background sounds that are royalty free, and we just have uploaded them to a server, and our students can go and download those, and those are the files that they put into their background music. It's got to be an MP3 or a WAV if we want to use it on Audacity. At least those are the easiest forms to use, and it has to be a file that we can move around from computer to computer, so the streaming media and so forth is out for the background music. I've got some audio files. I'll show you how to put them into Audacity in a few minutes. The next thing you see on my list there is scripts. And it's really funny to hear me saying that you should use scripts, because whenever I create an audio file or a video file, I'm the last person to go and write a script. If I do write a script, I find I never follow it. It's very, very noticeable, though, the folks who have not used a script when they're going to create an audio file. And I recommend, even if you're not going to read your script, at least go through the work of writing down what it is that you intend to say, because you're going to be able to complete your video. It's going to be much more it's going to make more sense. What ends up in your audio recording makes more sense, tends to flow better. You tend to make fewer mistakes, and you get it done quicker if you've at least thought about what it is that you want to say before you go and just start talking. My next bit of advice that you see down there is to record audio in short takes, and video as well. If you're going to make a 3-minute audio recording and you just start recording and you speak all the way through it, you're going to find that you get to about 2 minutes and 50 seconds and you're cooking right along, and then you're going to make a mistake. And so what I always tell folks to do is record your recordings in really short takes. That's a little bit more important for some of us. I had a stroke about 8 years ago, and so if I don't drink a lot of water, I end up having this really noticeable speech impediment. So it's really important for me, if I know that I'm going to be recording, I will make my script, break it up into 2 to 3 sentence sections, and try to read those one at a time. Otherwise, I just waste my time continuing to redo and redo and retake and retake. And what we find for student type projects, and even for the projects that we're talking about here, if you take, if you have 14 different takes of a piece of audio, it's probably true that your 14th one is no better than your 3rd or 4th one. So the advice I give to folks is write a script, have short takes, and just understand when you have sufficient quality that you can just move along. Otherwise, you're going to end up forever trying to make your recordings perfect, and that just never, ever happens. The other bit of advice I give also, and I talked a little bit about this last week, I think, is to use your iPhone or use your mobile device and record into this. All of these things have the ability to do recordings now. You can get your students off into a quiet place. They can do the recording, do their takes, and then usually what happens with files that you record on your audio device is they're too large to email to yourself. So the advice I always give folks is get a Google Drive or a OneDrive or a Dropbox account and learn how to upload these files from your mobile device onto those cloud storage. And it's a lot easier to go and move them around rather than trying to email them to yourself. So there's my advice for when you do make recordings: scripts, short takes, understand what's sufficient, and then when you're going to look for background music, pay attention to copyrights and think about MP3s and waves, because those are the files that we can use, and the most universal most universal audio files that we can find. Well, 1/4 already. So let's move on and talk a little bit about Audacity. Again, Audacity is the recommended piece of software that you use to do your recordings here. Comes recommended by Paul, comes recommended by lots of other of us as well. And you see I've got it on the screen here now. We have a record button up here. When I click that, you can see that the playhead starts moving across. You can see the waveform that is my voice, and I'll stop it now. And we have, 8 seconds or so of me speaking. And when I hit the play button, can you all hear that?
No.
Neither can I. Wow, there's something weird going on with my computer. You get the idea, though, that with this waveform, you would be able to hear what I had just said. Now, we can do some other kind of cool things with this. For example, I'm going to come up to the tracks menu, and I'm going to add a new track, and I'm going to do a stereo track. So you see now I have, this is the track on which I recorded my voice a moment ago. I have another track down here. This second track is independent from the first, but if I were to hit my play button now, I'm going to hear both tracks. Of course, there's nothing in that second track, so it really doesn't sound any different. But what I'm going to do is, under File, I'm going to import into this track audio. And actually, I just realized as I started doing this that I'm going to end up with a third track. And you see there's an MP3 file coming in. This empty track here that I added a second ago that's the empty track. This is my new sound. I'm going to close that first track. And now here you see this crammed up track. That's the 8 seconds of audio that I just spoke a few minutes ago. And the background sound that I put on there stretches out for, looks like 3.5 minutes. Okay. And now, of course, you have told me that you're not going to hear this, but right now you would hear my voice speaking, and there would be some background music as well. And you would hear both. Now, you see how these waveforms are about the same size. So if we were actually listening to this, it would be very difficult to hear my voice because it would be overwhelmed by the volume of this sound. So what I'm going to do is, and actually, let's try this first also. I'm going to I just clicked and dragged my mouse over that entire 2 minutes and 45 seconds or whatever it is. And I'm going to delete that file right now, delete that waveform from my bottom track. And now I have gotten rid of all of that audio. It's gone. Now, let's see, I need to stretch that out. Let's keep going here. I'm going to take this audio file down here now, and there's my bottom track. That's a little bit too loud. Under the effect menu, I can come down here and I can amplify that. Now, if I amplify this up, it's going to get louder, obviously. If I amplify it down, it's going to get more quiet. So now I have made that so my background sound would be much quieter. There's some other choices that you have here. We can highlight and select over part of the audio, and we could fade it in, and we could fade it out. And what I'm hoping that you see here, I'm working with this file in kind of the same way that I work with the text in a word processing file. I select and drag over the part of the file that I want to work with, and then I can use my effects to go in and edit it in any way that I want to. Now, we had a really interesting project I did with some students recently where they had read books, and it was high school students, and they were reading books for kindergarten kids. And the intent is that the high school kids are going to make a reading center for the kindergarten students. We're going to be able to follow along with the books and listen to them on headphones. Of course, the kindergarten kids can't read yet. Most of them can't read. So what they wanted to do is put a little beep in. So as they're reading along, there would be a beep to tell the students, the kindergarten students, when to flip the page. So what they did is they just recorded a beep. Now I'll do it here. All right, there's a beep. There's a beep. You see I've got a little audio file down here. And we had added that beep in a separate track there. And what I showed kids how to do is simply click and drag over the part of the sound that they wanted to be the beep and copy it. And then they could paste it wherever they needed the beep to be. So we had in the top track, there was the students reading, and wherever they needed the beep, they would just pause in their reading, and they copied and pasted the beep in. So it was kind of a cool project. Then what we did, of course, at the end, we were ready to go up to file, and we exported the audio. And you'll see that when I export that, there's lots of different file types that we have here. These are all audio files. I will tell you the first time that you go and try to download one of your files as an MP3 file, now I have done this already. I'm going to replace this. The first time you go in and save as an MP3 file, you're going to have to go and add what's called a lame plugin. That's what they call it. It's the lame plugin. And there's a link that's going to show up in the window that will take you step by step through going and downloading that and putting it onto your computer. So if you decide that you're going to export your file as an MP3, just know you're going to have that to do. For our purposes here, if you export in a wave form, that would be fine. MP3 we talked about. Actually, I can listen to just about all of these forms. Waves, and MP3s are the most commonly exported audio files. Okay, so there's a little bit about Audacity. I think I've shown you just about everything that you're going to want to know in order to get this file done. Again, this project done for this week. You're going to have one track with your recording on it. If you want to put any other background sounds, add them to another track. When it's perfect, do this export. Now, as with all media files, once you go and do an export, it's going to be very difficult to go back in and edit this thing. So I always recommend to students and folks who are creating media for the first time, before you go and give any kind of an export command or render your projects, make real sure that it's absolutely perfect, because it's very, very difficult to change later. So there's Audacity. I hope that is helpful to you as you go and start thinking about creating this this audio file this week. If you have any other questions or not sure about how to do things, shoot me an email, and I'll be glad to get back to you just as soon as I can. Although I'm really disappointed. I didn't realize until just recently that if I send an email from my phone, I get my St. Thomas email on my phone. If I respond to you on my phone, apparently you don't get it, and I didn't realize that. So I've been responding to students for a couple of terms here on my phone, not knowing that they didn't get my emails. But anyways, that's my problem, I guess, and not yours. So one last thing for today, I want to talk a little bit about this program called Active Presenter. And as I mentioned a moment ago, this software is used if you want to record a desktop session. And I've got it up and running here. This is what the screen looks like. Again, this is software that you can download this for free. The version I have is the free version. You can get some more advanced features, but I have done literally hundreds of Active Presenter projects. And let me just show you quickly how it works here. I'm going to tell Active Presenter that I want to make a new capture. It asks me a little bit about what I want to do for your purposes and for my purposes. I just take this record a software demonstration. You can give it a name if you'd like. I'll save some time by not doing that. Yes, I want to overwrite the other one. It's called Untitled. And you see here that I have a green screen. Got a green rectangle. And I am going to set the green rectangle around the part of my screen that I want to record. You can see also I've got a button for full screen here as well. I can change my my audio device. It's going to listen to what we say. And I'm going to hit record, and you see the countdown, 3, 2, 1. And right now, there is a screenshot that's being taken, a recording of what we do. And if I were to do anything to my PowerPoint presentation, all these commands, all the screen changes that you see are being recorded by Active Presenter. Now, on your PCs, there's going to be an option down here in the lower right-hand corner in your taskbar where you can turn off Active Presenter. For mine, it's up here at the top. I'm going to stop this, and you'll see in a moment the Active Presenter screen pops back up. And now in this window that we see here, this is a recording of what we just did. And as I play this, you will see eventually, when we get to it, the screen will change. My mouse just moved a little bit. There's the screen that's changing. And it did record anything that was captured in my microphone. Now you see when I'm done here, I'll get to that chat in just a second. When I'm done here, if I hit export, I can export this as a video, and you see that I'm recording this as an MP4 that's being saved right onto my computer. All right, I noticed a chat popped up there. Let me close this and go back and see what showed up there. Yes. Yeah, so when I did so Paul's asking about, do you get do you get both the system audio and the voiceover? And indeed you do. I'm going to, let's see. Let me make another new capture here. And I'll set it up again here. Yes, we're going to overwrite the old one again because I want you to see, Paul. Oh, I got to give it a different name. That one's still open. There is an option now. Like I said, there's something weird going on with my computer right now, but there's a checkbox right here so you can record the system audio. If you check that on and also check on your built-in microphone, as long as this is checked, then whatever comes out of your system is recorded as well. Okay? All right. Boy, it looks like we're just about out of time. Let me stop the screen share, get back. Apologize for whatever my audio problems are. Hope it wasn't too difficult. I think we got at least a couple of questions through the chat, which was good. If there are additional things that you come up with as you start working on this, just shoot me an email and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But unless anybody wants to put something else in the chat to ask, I think we're good. Everybody set?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.